My 7-year-old son makes up stories to get out of suffering consequences due to something he did. He also lies, and when he tells the truth, we don't believe him. How do we get him to tell the truth more than continuing to lie to us?
With any child that is lying is you need to catch them every single time they lie. And you need to deal with it every single time they lie. Even if it's 20 times a day. Lying is not good. You just need to drive that point home to them. Like, you're going to get in trouble every single time I catch you lying, because I don't trust you. And when trust is not in a relationship, you don't have a healthy relationship. That's just the bottom line. And I would punish him over lying for sure. Hey moms, welcome to YouTube and Wire Talk. So excited that you're here joining us live today. So today we've got lots of questions from moms from the spectrum of when do we dig into our children's behavior and when do we let it go? Those are going to be the questions that we're going to focus on today. So let's join in and see what we got to say.
Well, hello and welcome to Wire Talk. We are so glad you are joining us today. I'm your host, Emily, and as always, we have my wonderful mom, Karen Stubbs. Hello, Mom.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Good. We're almost done with June, which is crazy.
It's nuts.
I know.
I mean, somebody's birthday's coming right around the corner.
Yes.
How old are you going to be, 32?
32. Wow. Do you want to know what's funny?
Tell it to me.
I was with Kelsey the other day, and she said she was whatever age she was. And I was like, Kelsey, you are not that age. It's like, you're 33. I'm turning 32. You're 2 years ahead of me. And Kelsey's like, yeah, I know. And I'm like, yeah, so you're not 30. I'm like, you're not 34, you're 33. And Kelsey's like, you want to try that again? I was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I'm terrible. I'm terrible at numbers. Like, I was like, I knew how old I was turning. I just, for some reason, hilarious. 2 years just boom, went ahead.
You didn't know.
I just didn't think she looked 34.
Well, she is. I can't believe any of y'all are in your 30s.
Yes.
That's insane. I mean, Taylor's going to be 30 in June, too.
No, he'll be 31.
No, this year he turns 30, Emily.
No, Mom. This is the same conversation I've had with Kelsey.
Taylor is 2 years younger than you.
Oh, my goodness. Yes. What is my problem? Guys, when I turned like 24, this is the same problems. Like, I cannot get with it. Oh, my goodness. Because I'm turning 32.
No, we did not plan that. That was all live. Like, that happened just now.
Okay, so I am turning 32. Kelsey's 34, and Taylor is turning 30.
Correct. Taylor turned 30 June 1st.
Okay.
You turned 32 July 6th.
Yes. Okay.
Kelsey is already 34.
Golly, what is my problem?
Okay. And guess who turns the big 6-0 this year?
That's you,
That's
Mom.
That's me. That's like...
We will really celebrate it.
That is Crazy Town, USA.
Yes. Crazy Town, USA.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, Mom.
That's old.
Nah.
I mean, I don't feel
whippersnapper.
But that's getting on up there.
Well, listen, I think I was born to be in my 30s.
I loved my 30s.
And listen, I'm living my best life. I love my 30s.
I love my 40s. I love my 50s.
I mean, I love my 20s. Like, I loved it all.
Yeah,
I
me
mean,
too.
But someone was saying, did you think about that again? I was like, no. I think about that for 5 seconds and then it's bloop, out of my head. I worry about the dumbest things. So not really big things, but dumb things.
That's hilarious.
But that's okay. But that is not about me today.
No, it's
not about
not.
what
Let's
I
get
worry
back
about.
to our podcast here.
Well, today we are learning when to lean in on a behavior and when to let it go, because sometimes it's a hard line.
Yes.
But I think we can do it.
It's confusing. We don't know where the line is.
Yes. And I can relate.
You can?
Personally, I can relate to some of these questions. Like, that was my personality and my behavior, and I can relate to some of these as a mom. So I'm excited to see how you answer them. I always tell Brian, I'm like, I learned so much on Wire Talk today, and it wasn't even my questions.
I love it.
All right, are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Question 1. I believe I have too high of expectations for my oldest child. She's 5 years old and has 2 younger brothers. I find myself getting onto her about things more often than not. How do I find the line of having reasonable expectations for raising a good kid, but still letting her be a kid at times? Should I have higher expectations for her since she's the oldest and her brothers are watching? Or do I need to let some of the little things go so I don't stress her out and in turn stress myself out?
First off, I think it's wonderful that this mom notices that she has too high of expectations for her daughter. And I know, especially the first, I had high expectations for Kelsey. And your dad would sometimes remind me, oh yeah, Karen, Kelsey's just 3 years old. Like you act like she should be 6. And I'm like, well, because a lot of times Kelsey would be very mature and I would think, oh, okay, is it this or that? But they're at the same time, we have to realize they are just 5 years old or just 3 years old or whatever it is. So that's one thing. So good kudos, Mom, that you realize that you have too high of expectations. Second thing, I think we have to just keep in mind what is age appropriate for this age. And sometimes even just asking a professional like your doctor, or a counselor type person, how much can they handle? How much can they understand at this age? Where's their brain development? Or do some research, on where your child should be. You know what I'm saying? And then just keep in mind, okay, they're just 5. I don't need to expect them to act like they're 10 years old. And then the last thing with the brothers, should she have higher expectations on the sister so the brothers will be watching her, that role model? I don't think we need to put that on our oldest children. The brothers need to act good because they are responsible for themselves. It's not the oldest sister or oldest brother's responsibility for the younger children's actions. Everybody stands on their own. So, for instance, with your kids, if Harper's doing something and Grayson follows and does it, it's not necessarily Harper's fault that Grayson followed. Grayson has to learn to stand on his own 2 feet.
He made the choice.
He made the choice. Even as young as he is. He is almost 4.
Don't say it.
He is. He's almost 4, Emily. And he, just think about it, when Harper was that age, you expected her to make the right choice. And you would say, Harper, make the wise choice. So we all do that as parents. This mom is not the only one that's doing it. But I'm just saying, I don't think that's right. I don't think it's fair. And even if I did that with Kelsey, with y'all, it's not y'all's responsibility for the younger siblings. They stand on their own 2 feet.
All right.
Does that help everybody out?
Yeah. So what's something practical this mom can do this week to adjust her expectations?
I would remind yourself that each child is accountable for themselves.
All right.
And they each should be behaving the way a 3 or 5-year-old or 6-year-old or however old they are.
Sounds good.
Okay?
All right.
Hey friends, it's Katie. A quick break from the show to let you know that Karen's newly re-released book, Survival Guide to Motherhood, is now available for pre-order in the Birds on a Wire shop. This all-new edition of the Survival Guide to Motherhood is, in Karen's own words, everything she's been teaching for the past decade, summed up in one place. You're going to want to have this book in your personal library, I promise. Whether you're a new mom or a seasoned mom, Survival Guide is full of practical wisdom that will recenter your focus and remind you what truly matters when it comes to raising your child. In the book, Karen covers the personality colors, discipline, marriage, home management, time management, resting in Christ, and even more. If you've been wishing there was a roadmap for motherhood, this is your book. Head to birdsonawiremoms.com/survival-guide, or just click the link in our show notes today to pre-order and have the book shipped to you the day it releases on July 31st. I can't think of a better investment in yourself or of a better gift to give to a friend in this season of life. Again, head to birdsonawiremoms.com/survival-guide, or just click the link in our show notes to get your book pre-ordered today. All right, let's get back to the conversation.
Question 2. I first of all want to say thank you for all you have done to help moms, including myself. I have really been blessed by learning about the 4 temperaments, and I have been so excited to share my knowledge about them. I have a 7-year-old boy who is red-yellow, a 5-year-old boy who is yellow-green, and a 1-year-old girl. I feel like I have no patience for my yellow 5-year-old right now. There's a lot going on in my world, from some health issues to a mom who just got diagnosed with dementia. Well, I am blue, and I'm often so tired when my yellow child responds poorly to me. I lose my cool completely. This, of course, makes him go deeper into his tantrum, and we both spiral out of control. Then I blow up at my other son for simple things, and my 1-year-old sees us do this too much. I find myself blowing up multiple times just in the time it takes to get up and get ready for school. I absolutely hate the person I have become. Do you have any advice, since I know you're a yellow, Karen, for me and my yellow child, as well as keeping my cool towards the small things?
This is a great question, and she's got a lot of stress going on in her life. Her own health issues, her issues with her mom, plus the yellow and the blue temperament are complete opposite. So, of course, a blue is serious, and they very methodical and get things done in an orderly way, and especially getting out the door for school and all that. I'm sure in the blue's mind, she's like, get it together. This is serious. We got to go. I mean, we don't need to be late. And the yellow's just, rainbows and butterflies and, whatever. So then if she yells or fusses at the yellow child, that upsets him because he doesn't feel adored and like the center of the universe anymore. So he lashes out. So that's the scenario. Keep in mind with your temperaments of what the child that you're having the issue with, what is their core needs. So for the yellow, they have appreciation, affection, acceptance, and affection.
Adoration.
Oh, did I say affection twice? Did. Sorry.
Is affection important, Mom?
Affection is important. They need it. No, adoration. And honestly, just keep in mind whenever you're talking with him, even if you're getting on to him, do it in a positive way. Like, I love your enthusiasm, and I'm so excited that you're excited to go to school, but let's grab up our backpack, let's get serious and let's take our fun from the kitchen into the car, kind of thing. The other thing I think this mom has to realize is her fuse is shorter because of all the stress that's being put on her life from the outside in, from her mother all the way down. So with a mother that's been diagnosed with dementia, there's a lot of stress that comes with that. There's health, there's the money. What are we going to do? How bad is this going to progress? All the things, which just starts compacting on this mom. So I think she needs to do some self-care for herself. She may need to get with a counselor and start processing this stuff. Like, what is my responsibility? When do I know when mom can't be by herself anymore? And when is it time to put her somewhere or to bring in caregivers to take care of her, or whatever the issues are? And also, how do I process this? Help me, give me the tools that I need to help walk my mom through this. And then the other thing is her quiet time with God. That's really going to make a big difference. So before the kids get up, go and have some time with God and just lay it all before him and just say, hey, I know my son is going to be energetic this morning. He's going to have a lot of energy. He's going to be talking 90 miles a minute. And I don't really have the patience for that. But God, help me love him the way I need to love. Help me show him affection, adoration, appreciation, and now I'm missing the other A, approval. All these A's. So it's not really about your kids here. It's really her and the fact that all this pressure is coming down on her right now.
Yeah. I love that you said she needs to dial in her time with God, for sure. Is that your practical tip for this mom this week?
It is. And I know she's probably thinking, if she's listening right now, I don't have time for that. But really and truly, she needs to make time for that, because only God knows the future. Only God can walk her through and give her what she needs when she needs it. So,
I love that. Brian's been traveling. Well, we were in a season earlier this year where Brian was gone a lot, like
Yeah.
almost the entire month of April.
Yeah.
And towards the end of it, I was like, I'm going to lose my cool.
Yeah.
And I started to. And I just had this little Karen brain. Have you spent time with God yet? And I was like, no, but I don't have time for that.
Yeah.
But then when I realized how much I didn't not have time to not do it, how much it changed me.
It
and throughout
just
the
makes
day.
such a difference. And I know you miss one day and you're like, okay, it's no big deal. And it probably is no big deal.
Right.
You know, but you miss 2, you miss 3, you miss 4. It starts adding up.
Uh-huh.
And because we're not giving him our burdens,
Mm-hmm.
we're carrying all of our burdens.
Mm-hmm.
And we are not designed to do that. He wants to be our savior. So we need to give him to him.
Yes. I mean, I couldn't find Harper's Lovey the other night.
Mm.
And I literally was like, Lord, I need you to help me find this Lovey.
That's
and I know
right.
that's so silly, but you know what? I did not find the Lovey in the time, but guess what did happen?
She fell asleep.
She fell asleep without her Lovey. And I literally was like,
It's a miracle.
I know. She's 5 years old and she's never not gone to sleep with this Lovey. And I just literally was like, Lord, thank you so much. And then about 5 minutes later, I did find the Lovey, but I was like, thank you so much, because I was thinking of that episode where you're like, all right, God, I'm coming at you with all my needs. Here they are. And I was like, all right, Lord, I'm at the end of my rope. I need all my needs to be met by you. I need a Lovey. And he was like, all right, Emily, I'm not going to give you this Lovey, but guess what? I'm going to put that baby to sleep. And I was like, thank you. So it really does help. It really does help.
It does. It makes
does.
a huge difference.
So anyways, okay. Question 3. I love when people start with questions like, and they're like, hey, Karen. It just,
Aw, I
it makes
do
me
too,
feel like we're
actually.
having coffee together. It's
Yeah.
so sweet. Okay.
And
Sorry.
I love that.
Okay, moving on. Hey, Karen, thank you for taking care of us moms. I am a stay-at-home mom with a 4, 3, and a 1-year-old. How do you handle a toddler who won't stop crying? Not crying over an injury, but specifically crying not getting his way. My 3-year-old middle child is generally. Sorry. My 3-year-old middle child is generally laid back, but when I make him do something he doesn't like, he cries and cries and cries. My go-to is to tell him that I'm sorry he doesn't want to do it, but mommy has asked him and he must obey mommy. But at some point, I tell him the crying time is over. My husband tends to jump in to stop crying whenever he cries, but I feel like his feelings are real and tears are valid to express them, a valid way to express them. I don't want to invalidate feelings, but at some point, he needs to be able to self-regulate. How do I help him do this? What are appropriate expectations for a 3-year-old? Help.
Mm-hmm. Well, I understand this because you were my crier.
Yes, I was.
Yes. And it is frustrating. And it's just like, why are we crying about this? You know what I'm saying? So honestly, I think she's doing all the right things. I really do. I think you could just also give him 5 minutes, like just sort of set a timer and just be like, all right, I'm going to let you cry for 5 minutes. And then just say, hey, buddy, I know you've been crying, but if you can't pull it together, let's go to your room so you can finish crying. And I used to tell you that, like, Emily, let's go to your room and you can cry it out. And usually by the time we got to your room, you would dry it up because you'd be like, I don't want to be left in here by myself. So, because you were that green yellow, that same, sort of temperament. And then as you got older, I would say, Emily, is this worth crying about? And you'd be like, no. And I'd be like, then why are we crying? And I don't know. And I'm like, okay. I just think with some temperaments, they just don't know how else to process it other than crying. And why are you making that face?
Because still to this day, it doesn't matter the emotion. I could be sad, angry, hurt. I process emotions through crying.
Yeah.
It's very frustrating
Yeah,
for me sometimes.
Well, even on the podcast,
I
we've
know.
been here talking and I look over and you're crying and I'm like, wait a minute, what
Why
happened?
are we crying? I'm like, I don't know.
I don't know.
Move on.
It just hit me. So part of it is his age and that he is having a hard time processing it. But I don't think it's wrong to put a limit on it. I don't think that means you're not validating his feelings. You're saying, I'm validating your feelings, but you need to go to your room and have some space, cry away, sob it away. But we can't all sit around here listening to it all the time either.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So, and finally, you did outgrow most of it.
Yes.
You still are a crier. Of all my kids, you and Abby are the most tenderhearted of all mine.
Yeah.
Which is weird because you're green and she's red, but she's tenderhearted.
She's very tenderhearted.
Mm-hmm.
And like I was thinking about that the other day, like Abby is actually not more tenderhearted, but just differently tenderhearted than I'm tenderhearted.
She was just telling me about a friend last night that struggles with her worth. And Abby started crying about it because she was just like, I'm just so sad that she doesn't realize how special she is. And I'm just like, oh, wow, I don't have that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's so sweet.
It is sweet.
You
Abby's
know,
got a good heart.
She does have a good heart, but it
And
has
this little
nothing to
boy
do-
has a little good heart too.
He does. So bottom line is, I think this mom is doing the right stuff.
And then practical tip would be
set a timer for that 5 minutes, if not for you, for your husband.
okay.
Just say, honey, let him cry for 5 minutes. I know it's annoying, but he needs it.
He needs it. He needs 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Give him 5 minutes.
All right. So next question. Question 4. My 7-year-old son makes up stories to get out of suffering consequences due to something he did. He also lies, and when he tells the truth, we don't believe him. Last year in kindergarten, I was having to fact check with his teacher on what he told me. How do we get him to tell the truth more than continuing to lie to us?
Well, my advice with any child that is lying is you need to catch them every single time they lie. And you need to deal with it every single time they lie. So much so, even if it's 20 times a day, lying is not good. And you just need to drive that point home to them. Like, you're going to get in trouble every single time I catch you lying, because I don't trust you. And when trust is not in a relationship, you don't have a healthy relationship. That's just the bottom line. So, and I would punish him over lying for sure. But I think it's good that she's checking because you don't trust him. I think it's good that she's checking up and following and all the things. But I think the only way to stop it is to every single time you catch it, which is very draining. And I get that, but you don't want to let them ever get away with lying.
So what would your practical tip be for endurance here?
When you start to feel guilty because you're getting onto them so much, don't feel guilty.
Oh,
You're not doing anything wrong. You are training your child in the way he should go. And it's just like Hebrews 12:11 says, discipline is painful.
it's really good.
Don't feel guilty.
Feel guilty. You got this.
Yep.
All right.
Okay.
Boom. Mic drop, Mom. Okay. Question 5. I've been listening to your podcast since becoming a mom to twin daughters back in 2018. I've implemented so many of your parenting strategies into my life with my children. I've put in the work and it shows. Thank you for the work that you do. Just
Thank you.
I know,
That's
so
very
sweet.
kind.
But then good for this mama for putting in the work,
I
and now
know,
she
I'm
sees
proud
it.
of her.
Okay.
Get
Sorry.
it.
Way to go, girl. Lately, I've been struggling with going anywhere around my brother and sister-in-law and their children. They have no routine or structure and zero discipline for their children. They have let their children kick, scream, hit until eventually they give in, and they let them have what they want. Their children will run away from them when we are out in public, so the rest of the family... Sorry, I messed up. Okay. Their children will run away from them when we're in public, so the rest of the family is running after to chase them. It is painful for me to watch it, and it really affects the whole dynamic of our time together, and it leaves me feeling anxious for hours after. I know I'm not the only one in the family who struggles with this dynamic. I know I can't control how my siblings' parents I know I can't control how my siblings parent, but I could use some wisdom on ways to make the situation better for all of us so we can actually enjoy spending time together.
This is a good question. There's really not much you can do about their behavior because you can't change another person's behavior. The thing I would do is lower my expectations. I would just expect Whenever I say yes to a family function, I would just expect this is the way it's going to go down because this is the way it's always go down. And I would also give yourself permission that whenever it gets to feel too ramped up, too much, give yourself permission it's time to go. So you don't have those anxious feelings hours after it's over. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So just tell yourself, okay, I'm going to go to this family function. If it gets to be to where it's just unbearable, I'm going to give myself like a 30-minute window and I'm going to make up an excuse and we're going to have to go.
Do you think it's helpful for them to tell how old is her daughter? 7 now? Is that what? It's in 2000. I can't do math. But that's okay. We'll just.
5 years old.
Thank you. Oh, that's how old Harper is. I'm really struggling with numbers today. It's fine. Do you think it's helpful for her to be like, hey, if mommy says it's time to go, so they know because they're not doing anything wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or just we may have to leave a little early today. Just want to give everybody heads up.
Okay.
Before they get in the car. Usually if you tell a 5-year-old it's time to go, they don't fuss with you too much.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I mean, yours might even say, I want to stay a little bit longer, but you're like, no, let's go. It's time. We got to get going or whatever.
That's true.
But, and I would tell your husband, hey, when I say it's time to go,
it's time
to go.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what would your advice be to anyone who's in this similar situation? And is there ever a point in saying something to the parents or the family members?
I have found that if people aren't asking you for your opinion, they really don't want it and they're not going to be listening. So if you want to give your opinion, go ahead. I don't think it's going to be received well. I don't think they're going to listen. Mm-hmm. You can suggest for her to listen to Wire Talk and maybe she'll pick up some few tips here and there. But no, I'd keep it to myself. I wouldn't offer any advice.
Mm-mm. I think that's a good point.
If they're not sound asking, like they're looking.
Yeah. They're not asking, it's not going to be received well.
No, it's not. And that's not just them. That's with anybody.
True that. Mm-hmm. True that. Well, I think that's it for us today.
Oh, wow.
I know that was fast. Yes. But thank you so much for listening in. And we hope that you have a little bit more insight of when to push into discipline and when to let some things go. And you guys are amazing. And we are so thankful for you. So make sure you like and subscribe. And if you feel like if somebody in your world would love this episode, send it on to them because the algorithm loves us. And the more people we share it with, then more people get to hear about Wire Talk. And that's what we love is for more people to hear Mom's amazing advice because we all need a little bit of Karen in our lives. So we will see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.